Hi guys, Monday Night Mystery here. Today, I'm gonna explain a 2015 American superhero and comedy movie called American Hero. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. If you have any recommendations or want particular video, please let me know in comment box below. The movie begins with a man in a wheelchair named Lucille searching around New Orleans, looking for a middle-aged man called Melvin. Nearby people admit that Melvin is a loser who should stop doing everything he has been doing. Lucille is being followed by a cameraman who wants to make a movie about Melvin. After a long search, the crippled man spots Melvin's shoe and eventually finds Melvin sleeping on the street, acting like a homeless man. Turns out that Melvin has to attend court after his ex-wife, Doreen, filed a restraining order against him. They immediately rush home and Melvin dresses up. He practices several lines of the plea he has prepared before, but somehow it doesn't seem promising at all. After that, Melvin arrives at the courthouse and goes to the courtroom in confidence. A few moments later, he returns to his buddy, but shows a very desperate face. He reveals that he is sentenced to a community service order and his wife, Doreen, has taken sole custody of their son, Rex. Melvin approaches her and scolds her, but she doesn't care and drives away with their son. Without remorse, he then goes to his friend's place and gets drunk there. Turns out that he is also an alcoholic and drug abuser. In the middle of the party, he is approached by a college science teacher, Lucas, who has performed several medical checkups on Melvin since he has been possessing a weird telekinesis power, which allows him to move objects using only his mind. He discovers that there's a slight difference in Melvin's brain, compared to a normal human's brain. Meanwhile, Luke tells the cameraman that while serving in Iraq in 1991, he got hit by a sniper, which caused permanent damage on his leg and he has to spend his entire life in a wheelchair. His wife left him and Melvin was the only person who let him stay with him and his mother. This shows that Melvin is actually a kind-hearted man. Melvin, Luke, and a friend called Lyle to perform a street magic show to gain some money where Melvin magically manages to lift Luke's wheelchair without landing a single finger on it, which amazes the nearby people. Back at home, Melvin's mom is aware of his son's ability as he sometimes accidentally lifts the furniture without him realizing that. He also likes to bother his sister with his telekinesis power. A neighbor of Melvin claims that he once helped her to repair her house with his power, but it seems like it's the only case when he helps people with his ability. He goes to a scrapyard to perform his power to the cameraman. The trio go to a drug dealer to spend all their money on drugs. The leader, Nathan, insults Luke and Melvin for no reason, but they ignore him and walk away with peace. Instead of using his power for greater good, Melvin frequently uses his telekinesis ability to tease women and gets high again and again. The next day, he begins his first day doing community service with a teenager. During the break time, he performs a simple magic trick that amuses the teenager. He then brings the cameraman to his room where he briefly shows him his son's life journey. He continues living his boring life as a loser and nobody. As usual, Melvin, accompanied by Luke, comes to Lucas to monitor his brain's activity and condition. At this point, Lucas urges Melvin to consult with a professional as he is not capable of diagnosing what is happening to his brain. However, he refuses to do so. He is confident that he will be okay. While enjoying their afternoon, they are confronted by a local officer, Jimmy, who is worried about them. He reminds the superhero not to waste his gifted power by constantly getting high and doing nothing. Melvin takes the advice and attempts to use his power for something useful. He manages to take down robbers effortlessly. However, instead of returning the stolen money, he takes the money and spends it on alcohol and drugs. During the party, he feels severe pain in his chest and passes out. He is brought to the hospital and luckily the doctor is still able to save his life. As soon as he regains his consciousness, the doctor tells him that he suffered a serious cardiac arrest and his heart stopped beating for several minutes. After being discharged from the hospital, Melvin realizes that he is wrong all the time and intends to use his power to fight crime. He is also committed to becoming sober and hoping that he would meet his son, Rex, again. Luke is happy hearing that and promises he will give his full support to him. He returns to the lab and starts practicing to use his telekinesis in a proper way. He tries to bend a fork and a stop sign without touching it. After a while, Melvin takes the practice into the next level as he manages to solve a 3x3 Rubik's Cube with his mind. Melvin even goes to the gym to build endurance and strength. Luke also always presents beside him to motivate him to get better. He goes to the scrapyard and practices controlling heavy objects with his butt and hand. Unfortunately, at this point he still can only watch his son from a distance. After a series of exercises, Melvin does Luke a favor, assisting him to impress a hot girl called Yolanda. He performs a lifting bag magic trick, which shocks the woman, and she eventually gives her number to him, despite already having a boyfriend. In the evening, the gentlemen pay a visit to a friend's place where Melvin makes it clear that he has stopped drinking. His drunk friends surprisingly support Melvin after knowing the reason that he wants to get clean for his son. The following day, Melvin silently follows Rex from behind and is enraged when he finds out that the drug dealers sell drugs to children. He can't wait any longer and confronts Jimmy, informing him that he is now ready to do some good for the community. The cop then approves his request. He returns to Lucas's lab, and this time he manages to move the stop sign, which almost hits Lucas. The teacher reminds him that he may need more practice. Without thinking about the consequences, Melvin confronts the drug dealers and urges them to meet with the leader, Nathan, personally. One of the thugs takes out his knife and throws it toward Melvin, but he easily stops the knife and threatens them. Afterward, he attends a family dinner where his sister introduces her boyfriend, Ryan, to her brother. As expected, Melvin scares the innocent man with his power. Ryan, who doesn't know about Melvin's power, leaves the house in fear. Suddenly, he is informed that Lucille was shot by Nathan in retaliation. He immediately heads over to the hospital where Lucille and the others are highly disappointed with Melvin's reckless action and tell him to leave the room. After his one and only supporter is not willing to meet him again, Melvin abandons his intention to get clean and start drinking again. Jimmy approaches him in a pub to remind him about his objective, but Melvin doesn't care. Later that night, he stops by Lucille's house and apologizes to him. However, he forbids him to get into the house after realizing that Melvin is drunk. A desperate sadness envelopes Melvin and he decides to go crazy again at his friend's place, partying all night with girls. In the morning, Melvin and his friends are attacked by Nathan and the gang. Luckily, Melvin reacts on time and manages to block all the upcoming bullets. Afterward, he feels the pain again in the chest and meets Lucas. The teacher concludes that the more he uses his ability, the more it will be hurting him. When he urges the superhuman to see a specialist, suddenly Lucille shows up and reconciles with Melvin. He pays a visit to Rex's school, realizing that he must become a good man if he wants to meet Rex in person again. He then resumes his training in the scrapyard and finally gains full control over his ability. After gaining his confidence back, he comes to Jimmy, informing him that he is going to launch a surprise attack on Nathan's place. While on his way, he spots two crooks robbing a store and pulls over to give them some lessons. Melvin eventually arrives at Nathan's hideout and starts wreaking havoc there. He effortlessly blocks all the bullets and single-handedly eliminates all Nathan's henchmen. With his telekinesis power, he chases after a thug who tries to escape to the building and tears down the entire building. After getting his revenge, Melvin brings Lucille back to the scrapyard where he surprises his friend with a new premium wheelchair. Lucille tests driving to his new vehicle in happiness while Melvin disassembles the old wheelchair. At the end of the movie, Melvin approaches his ex-wife and requests to see Rex. She initially refuses, but after he shows her the proof that he helps with his child support, Doreen then reluctantly agrees. Melvin dresses up and finally gets the chance to ride his son home. This is the story of the movie American Hero. If you like this video, please subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave a like to help the channel's algorithm, and wait for the next Monday Night Mystery. And thank you.